Everyone, very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. So let's get started with our opening prayers and get underway with the session. So I'll share the presentation to share. All right, we'll do our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, so let's get started with our Soul Soup segment. So we've been talking about mind and intellect, and today we will talk about 3 steps to empower the intellect. We said there are two wrestlers, mind and intellect. That battle is ongoing between these two, and we need to make the wrestler, which is intellect, more powerful. And how do we empower it is what we are going to talk about. So empowering the intellect is the topic for today. Give me a sec. So when it comes to empowering the intellect, there are 3-step process, as we would see. Um, what is these 3 steps? Let's look at those. These are the 3 steps. Where are the 3 steps? The first one is called Shravan. You would have come across it multiple sessions, right? Shravan is when we listen to the knowledge. So that is how it all starts. You listen to the knowledge, but then it doesn't stop there. What happens next? Listening is fine, but if you don't do something about it, then it doesn't count for anything. And what is that something? We need to think about that knowledge and think really deeply. It happens even in this world also, right? For you to understand something, you have to ponder upon it. And that is very much needed in the path of spirituality, which is called manan. You contemplate, think, keep on thinking, revising it in your head, and ponder upon it as well. Chintan, like it said. And there is a lot of power in this aspect, right? Shravan and Manan. The Manan aspect can lead to discoveries as well. Like, for example, it was Manan which led Newton to come up with the law of gravity. If he had not thought about it, he would have gone with this English saying that it's not gravity, Earth sucks. Okay, I heard it somewhere. But truly speaking, Earth doesn't suck. Okay, it is a good place to be in. He thought about it. Why did Apple fall down? And that Chintan itself led to the discovery, which we know there's a law of gravity right now. That is called good Chintan. Instead, if you do Manan, worry is also kind of Manan. And that kind of Manan can lead to, that Chinta can lead to Chitta. Right? There's just a small difference between Chinta and Chitta. And it is only through the power of contemplation that some people end up taking their own lives and make an entry into the all the Pret that we spoke about. So contemplation is very important. But first is hearing and then contemplating on the right knowledge. And then eventually what happens is it leads to the third stage, which is called Nididhyasan, where you are intellectually convinced that this is it. It is backed with your realization and a strong belief system, which does not require any empirical evidence. So this is a 3-step process. Now, the key here is that, yes, if you may be solving a problem, but you may end up solving a wrong problem. So Nididhyasan has to be backed with Manan, but Manan it all starts from Shravan. The knowledge has to be right. So it all starts from that. If you start contemplating on wrong knowledge, you'll get it all wrong. So Nididhyasan, but this three-step process has to be followed for us to make it as part of our DNA. Something is part of our DNA where we are intellectually convinced. So we have to take it through this. So with that said, let's move to our shloka for the day. We'll continue with from where we left yesterday and have a discussion on this as well. So I'm going to recite it and you're welcome to follow along. ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तकान्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Okay, see a couple of hands, please.
Radhe Radhe Shyamji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तयः कौन्ते न तेषु रमते बुधः. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice. Thank you, Shyamji. Yes, Riyaji.
राधे राधे.
Radhe.
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः.
Very nice. Thank you, Riyaji. Okay, Dineshi, last but not the least, go ahead, please.
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. राधे राधे.
Radhe Radhe. Very nice, Dineshi. All right. So this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying that the pleasures that arise from contact with the sense objects, though appearing as enjoyable to worldly minded people, are verily a source of misery. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, so the wise do not delight in them. All right, so we've spoken about that. So let's continue on this and explore some more aspects around it. Now, what is the difference between real and real happiness? Right, one is real and other is real, right? So if our intellect right now, that space between the ears is what the intellectual conviction is, right? That's where we hold our belief system. That is where the nididhyasans that we have done in the past will compel us to believe that happiness lies here. So happiness fueled by pleasure, you see, this is how it goes, like this candle. And happiness fueled by purpose is constant. It always remained. Okay, so this is basically the how typically the happiness curve would look like. Now let's move on. Quest for that perfect happiness. Now this is our soul, and it has been, and this is our mind, right? Which now soul is the master and mind is the servant. And it says, give me happiness. Master is saying, give me happiness. Master is telling the servant, give me happiness. And mind, for lack of clarity, says, this is where you will get happiness, right? Mind is going to tell the senses it's a boss, even though it's a servant of the soul, but right now it's a boss of our senses. And it says, sure enough, you're asking for happiness, I'll give you happiness. Okay. And it'll tell senses, these are the things that you can get happiness from. What? The sense objects, as you see. So, and then those things are what? These are the things that mind says, go for it. These are all sense objects that basically our mind is telling us will give me happiness. But then the soul says, no, what you gave me is good, but not good enough. I need much more. Okay, this is what we have seen through our experience as well. So it says, all right, let's do something more then. Okay. And then we add some more things to gain that happiness, and more things and more things and more things. And that process continues. And nothing basically, but the happiness I'm seeking is still not there. Soul says, no, you gave me so many things, but I am still not happy. I need more. And this quest continues. How does that work? So this is the paradox of life. We are not seeking happiness, and we want happiness. But then, despite our best intentions, despite our best efforts, despite, in all honesty, we have been craving for it since time immemorial, not just this life. But what is the paradox we end up getting stuck in? We strive for happiness, but reap misery. This happens, we know that repeatedly in our life. Then we crave love, but we meet with disappointment time after time. That happens, right? So many relationships, if you look at it, it's why do we enter into a relationship, right? Or we seek companionship, we crave love, but that disappointment comes in because we are just not able to extract what we expect from another person, right? They don't have the ability to give us happiness, and finally we end up getting disappointed, or we end up disappointing somebody else. It works both ways, not just one way, right? Symmetrical. We always think about our disappointment, but we are also disappointing somebody else as well, and this happens. And it is but to be expected, because all of us are governed with our own interest. In heart of our heart, end of the day, we, because we are seeking happiness and because we haven't attained it as yet, we will be driven by our selfish desires only, no matter what proxy we may, or what disguise we may want to wear on top of it and say, no, 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 it's for your happiness. I mean, end of the day, we don't have that ability. So, and then what happens is, when there is a conflict, of course, one has to get disappointed in that tug of war or the tussle that happens. Then we covet life, but we are moving towards death at every moment. We are scared of death, right? And we are coveting, we want to be eternal always, but then we are inching towards that which we think is the end of our existence. However, that is not the case. And immortality means getting into your vastavik, or the true self is doing that realization who you truly are. And that is why we are all here. This is the paradox, right? So this is from Bhagavatam, which is talking about every human being engages in fruitive works to get happiness, but finds no satisfaction. Instead, these activities only aggravate the misery. You see, that is happening all around us, left, right, and center. So many relationships fall apart, right? People fall in love and say, right, love at first sight, divorce at first fight, and relationships crumble. Even the best of the things that look right, they have some kind of an under simmering tensions going on there. And then we have repeatedly seen that no matter what we thought, whether it's the job, whether it's the work, whether it's that relationships that we enter into, eventually it runs into some kind of a disappointment only, whether it's your relatives, friends, relationships, whatever things that we think could potentially give us happiness. And this is one of the rules of spiritual laws as well, where you excessively start obsessing about happiness in a particular thing, eventually becomes the cause of our disappointment too. And the reason for that is that that object in does not have the ability to give you happiness. That is why the sooner we understand it, the closer we get to this principle of attaining that peace. Because when our happiness is dependent on other person, it is just a ticking time bomb, just a matter of time before it will fall apart and you will meet with disappointment, right? So it's like you are you have distributed the keys to people, and the lesser people you have distributed it to, better it is. But we distribute it to too many people, right? We distribute to friends, our family, and then maybe that partner that we have, and then we become vulnerable, and it is not a good state to be in. We become vulnerable because they are not turning the key the way we are expecting it to, and it will meet with disappointment. So it's a ticking time bomb. So, but when if you have wisdom, two people have wisdom and they understand the deeper principles about it, then they can, maintain that balance and help each other out. But then those disappointments can also be put into perspective. So you keep carrying on. But the fact of the matter is, if you're truly thinking happiness in something, it will finally give you disappointment only, because the object does not have an ability to give you happiness at all. Okay, this is how, and we saw yesterday, we spoke that you cannot retain that happiness. It becomes stale after a while, and it is finite in extent, where your soul says, no, I need more. I need a little bit more of it. Okay, and that little bit more continues. Now, another irony of this blind pursuit of happiness has been going on for many lifetimes, and there is no sight of happiness. In fact, US Constitution, one of the commandments in that is pursuit of happiness is your not legal, your fundamental right. Pursuit of happiness, your fundamental. How to get it, nobody tells, but at least they put it in that, right? Pursuit of happiness. How do you get that? Nobody can talk about that, right? So poha is your fundamental right, pursuit of happiness. Okay, you can remember that always. There's a movie also, by the way, on that. It's a nice movie. But yeah, that happiness continues to stay elusive. So what happens is we want to be happy, right? So then we say, all right, this is what we are going to get. I'm going to get, and then I'll become happy. So then what happens? You start running towards it. Then what happens? Did you get happiness? No, you moved the milestone. It continued to move forward. And when it has happened, when I came to the US for the first time, I was a bachelor that time. So I was sitting with two or three friends. They were also bachelors, and we were philosophizing what it would take to become happy, really happy. And of course, it was like, okay, we have come to US and we'll make certain amount of money, and then when we'll go back or we stay here, if we have this much of money, I think we'll be happy because we are taken care of, right? We enjoy that financial security. We can get stuff, and then like that Hindi movie, Happily Ever After. And then we started talking, okay, how much you think would really make us, secure and happy and peaceful about that. So we started with 10 lakhs. You'd laugh at that amount right now. And then somebody said, no, 10 is, it can finish, but you need other things too. And then finally, after a lot of deliberation, debate, we said 50 lakhs or maybe a crore. Okay, not more than that for sure. What are you going to do with that? But you should all have a car and a house as well. And that should be good enough. Guess what? It doesn't work that way. The milestone keeps on shifting. So this is what the milestone shifted. And then you said, okay, I'm going to reach there, and the milestone shifted further. Okay, it's that elusive happiness, we still haven't gotten it. And then it continues not only in this, but other lifetime also. Again, this drama starts, right? And then we reach there, and then this goes further away, and this continues and continues and continues, basically. So this drama is basically never ending. Our scriptures are telling us you are actually chasing a mirage. Instead, if you would say that if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, not the goal. So that means this plan for some reason has never been working for us. That through our experience, we know that. So we don't need to change the fact that we don't need to seek happiness, right? So if you look at it, this plan hasn't worked because the happiness has kept shifting away further and further and further away from us. And no matter what we achieve, we still think there's still something more that we need to achieve in order to feel happy. So that is where it is says, if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, not the goal. Seek happiness, that's fine, but change the plan. Your plan right now has got a problem, big problem. Yes, Sandhya, had a question?
So, change the plan involves I changing my attitude towards it, or like it's possible that I am the limiting factor and hence the plan did not work.
Okay, so first of all, the plan inside that I'm going to one day finally extract happiness from this world, that needs to be put into perspective, right? That plan of extracting happiness from the world itself, first that needs to be changed, because that is a erroneous understanding around where the happiness lies. So that itself, it's like mirage or Mrig Trishna, as we spoke about. Even though we know that, we have heard it, we still continue to go for that. So that needs to be corrected, first of all. And then we can talk about who is the limiting factor, or that will be a discussion in itself, right? Even after that, if it doesn't work, then yeah, there could be some other reasons for that, right? It's a nuanced conversation, not black and white at that point. But first of all, our plan of one day finally extracting happiness from the world around us by doing so and so thing, or by acquiring so and so thing, or by experiencing so and so, that itself is flawed, is what our scriptures are telling us.
I was referring to like definition of world in general. Like, so from that, like if you don't know what is it that you're chasing, whether it classifies as divine or worldly, in that case.
Goal is happiness. We are not going to change that goal because we
But
have.
you said worldly happiness, right? So that's why I was saying.
Yeah. So the goal is attaining happiness. Plan is to extract it from worldly things, right? By that perfect job, by that perfect house, perfect relationship, money, fame, power, and all that stuff that we spoke about. So why it doesn't work, why we don't become happy? Because true happiness, as you see these kids, they seem truly happy, right? So the true happiness should have three attributes. It should be permanent. Once you have attained it, it should not go away, is what our scriptures are telling. That is called sat, permanent happiness. That concept itself is like, right? How do you understand that? You would say that how can something be permanent? And now you had a good outing, maybe in a party or something, but today you're not feeling that way. Today your mood is down. That means it came and it went. You could not hold on to it. Right? Sometimes we fondly look back at our pictures and those parties and those moments that we had with family or that party, and we become so happy. Yes, we were happy in that moment, but were we able to retain that? We cannot. We haven't. Right? So the soul says that I need a happiness which once comes never leaves me. If it leaves me, then that is not happiness. Okay, our scripture is saying the true happiness should be permanent. If I was in a party and I was high, I want to be that high only. And that highness should never go away. It should not be a hangover next day. I should be able to retain it. Okay, so that should be permanent. Once attained, never leaves. So that is the first attribute. Doesn't happen in the worldly. The second attribute is the chit aspect. It does not decrease with time, right? So the time with time, anything that you feel excited about, it decreases with time. Even if a new song that you are loving, you love to hear, you would listen to it once, twice, thrice, but over time it will start losing its grip over you. You'll say, okay, I've heard it too many times. I need some variety around it, right? Same thing when we eat. First time we relish it too much, and then after a while, as we start getting satiated, we say, okay, I don't need this any more of it right now. I'm not getting pleasure out of it as well. So it decreases, it tapers or wanes, diminishes with time. In economics, it says law of diminishing returns over time. It's like if you keep money in your bank, not in the bank, if you keep money in your house, cash, and you keep it, okay, let's say you have $1,000, you keep $1,000 and you don't do anything with it, then that $1,000 would probably become, inflation. If it is, let's say inflation is 8% or 10%, within 2 to 3 years or 3 to 5 years, it will probably become $300. Why? Because what you could buy with $1,000 now, with it, you can buy the worth stuff worth $300 now, not stuff worth $1,000, because inflation has beaten it. So it is diminishing over time unless you invest that money somewhere, right? Then and hopefully that investment is giving you more return than the inflation, then you can beat it. Otherwise, it it will keep on diminishing with time. And same thing that happens with happiness as well. That happiness, it just diminishes over time. Okay. And the third is infinite in extent. Okay. It says it finite. Don't give me finite happiness. What is finite? As okay, something is sweet, okay, because it has 1 teaspoon of sugar, or 2 or 3 or 4, but it is finite, right? It keep on becoming sweeter, sweeter. But what we are saying, when it comes to happiness, it should not be finite, because we are, you know, part of God, and He's an infinite ocean. And until our soul experiences that Bhuma Sukha, right? That infinite Sukh, it will say, no, I'm still missing something. I'm still missing something. I need more. I need more. I need more. That final, I got it, will happen only with the happiness which has all the three attributes. It is Sat, it is permanent, once comes, never goes away. It is Chit, it does not decrease with time. In fact, it stays and keeps on increasing with time. And then the third is Anand, it is infinite in extent, it is not limited, where you say, I got this much of happiness, and not this much, and not this much. It is infinite in extent. Only when our soul experiences all three can it be truly termed as happiness. And we don't even come remotely close to it in the material world for anything that we experience. So this is the definition of true happiness as per our scriptures. Now, from that sense, if you look at it, the happiness that we get, right? I mean, truly, why the objects do not have the ability to give happiness? Because nothing, the happiness does not lie in the object itself. If there was happiness in an object, then it would give the same happiness to everybody, right? But we, through our experience, we see that it gives different perception to every, you know, it's basically very subjective, right? For example, if you look at a car, it may make somebody happy, but other person may become sad because that car itself does not have happiness or anything, right? He is becoming envious or sad about it, and third person might be just stay neutral around it. That how does it matter? And if you think about same thing about house, palatial house, three emotions can come in, and for the potlucks as well, right? Somebody enjoys it, somebody's sad, waste of time, and somebody's neutral. It's okay, I just need to participate. So the material objects in themselves do not carry that happiness at all. Okay, it's our the way we look at it that determines what kind of pleasure we are deriving out of it. Our own attachment to those things is driving our experience of that happiness, even though it is very temporary. And even if we are feeling happy about it, for with any of these things, are you able to retain that happiness through our experience? We know we don't, right? The excitement that you get with the new car, after a year, it will be like just another thing. Not even a year, few months, you will feel it's a regular stuff that I'm driving. Even the house, that dream house that you would have built, you know, that happiness would diminish over time. And then how do you derive that happiness? By showing people, look at my house. Now you are trying to derive it through them by showing off. But your happiness is already evaporated. And if they don't compliment you or don't say, then your happiness is again fall off. Same thing happens. So the point is that material happiness is limited in extent, it diminishes over time. And then it is not true happiness. It is basically we are trying to derive it through our experience or how we perceive that thing. And that is not happiness. The true happiness is something which we have not spoken about as yet, which should remain forever with you and should not diminish it with time. It should always be ever fresh and infinite in extent. Okay, that is what our scriptures are telling us as well. So materially minded people, they know that they are unhappy, but they think that others ahead of them must be happy. Another reason why we continue to say chase this mirage is because we think that, you know what, now here let's understand this. God is with us all the times, but then we are seeking happiness. So what is happening is this person is thinking that I'm not happy, this other person is happy. And this person is thinking, this a person is happy. This person is thinking this person is happy. All of them ultimately are seeking that happiness and thinking somebody else is happy. I may not be happy, but one day I'll be happy because he has that. And because he's happy, even I can be happy if I can be like him and because he's happy, right? So this drama continues. Fact of the matter is nobody truly is happy, even though God is there within us, right? Now, only correction that is needed is if you look at it here, this person needs to change his correction. This plan has to be changed. The direction in which they're seeking happiness is gotten it all wrong. Okay, so once that is done, then the happiness which has been elusive all along and the paradox of life that we spoke about will start settling down and we can put it in place from that standpoint. With that, I'll take a pause now. Any questions related to that? Was the last session on 5.22. We'll introduce a new shloka tomorrow along with spiritual catch-up segment. But anything related to the worldly happiness and why we keep on repeatedly failing in this aspect and what makes it so difficult for us to put this happiness in perspective and refocus our energies, emotions around, as I've seen, this guy has to turn around and simply do that realignment, and then they'll start getting closer to that happiness that we've been talking about. Yes, Samira.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Uh, Regarding to the last line that you said, that why we do that, seeking worldly happiness time and again, uh, because I think there is uh, we are immature in our understanding, because when we see kids, they only play for the sake of playing. They, unless a matured person or so-called elders, they come with a understanding of a, they come with a shitty understanding that you have to compete, you have to come first, second, third, or whatever. But when we accomplish, like with all our aim that we have, uh, when we actually accomplish that aim, if we observe, then that moment is very empty because, okay, now I have come to a point that I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, but what now? There is a very, that state is very empty. We need to, then we find something else to fall into the trap, and that keeps on like adding one, two, three, four, five. So, like Dhoni says that it has to be a process. And recently, in the last game, in the interview, I heard Rohit Sharma saying that I am not playing for the personal milestones anymore, and I am just playing for my team. So the process itself, or the understanding that sake of playing, is the
Mhm.
important thing, I feel.
A good point. I think what you said was said by one of the philosophers and the well-known name in English literature as well. I think Tom Sawyer or Mark Twain had said that there are only two disappointments in life. One is desiring something and getting it, not getting it, and one is desiring something and getting it. In both the cases, finally, you will be like, okay, what next? Because that desire that of course that you made, then after that you'll be like, okay, now I need to move on to the next milestone because you'll still feel something is missing, right? So yes, eventually it again you can relish it for a moment, but again that dissatisfaction sets in. And like you said, if we enjoy the process more than the milestone itself, that destination syndrome, that only when we reach the destination will we be happy. I think that that is a good mindset to have. Enjoy the journey and the process itself, and not so much have that destination syndrome in your at the back of your mind. Good point, Samira. Thank you.
Yeah, like beginner's mindset, to
Mm.
keep ourselves in beginner's mindset.
True. I mean, I look at kids. I mean, I look at our little one as well. We need so many things, and still we have a sense of dissatisfaction. I need to go there. I need to try this. I have to do that. So many options are there. And this little one, I mean, you give him a simple envelope and he can spend hours playing, throwing, playing. They can create anything because they're just happy. So that there's that innocence is there, and then that beginner's mindset you can call it, or they're still exploring world, and there is a sense of awe around what is happening around. You're discovering things, that learner's attitude, and that twinkle in the eyes there for everything that they see. They're just happy. They don't have to create anything, tons of things, and we become, bored so quickly. So I saw him playing with a, polythene envelope for about an hour. He's throwing around, jumping. I said, wow, this is life, right? That is happiness. You don't need many things actually to be happy if you have that kind of a mindset, right? So it's called the trap of 99 that we are all living in. What is the trap of 99? So there was a king who was on his courtyard, and then of course the king will have all kind of tensions, right? Subjects not aligning, and the neighboring states trying to attack them, and so many other things. So he was having a lot of stress and tension going on in his head until he heard some laughter and laughing people at a distance, right? So nearby he had a small jhopadi, right? So small cottage, and there some poor people, they were having a hearty laugh, just hard, having a good time at all. And he was saying, okay, he sends his minister, check out what's going on with them, what makes them so happy. I'm not happy, and these people, even though they are not in a palace, they don't have anything, and that's making them happy. What's the secret of their happiness? So his minister says, you know what, give me a month. Not give me a month, okay, I know the secret to their happiness, but I'll show you how I can get them to be unhappy, okay, within no time. He said, how can you do that? He said, okay, he just goes, he picks up a bundle of gold coins and drops at their house. And those bundle had actually 99 gold coins. So the moment they say that, I said, wow, Lakshmi is smiling at us. We got 99 gold coins. But immediately dissatisfaction sets in. He said, 99, what kind of a number it is? We should have had at least 100. And then they all start working hard and cutting the ration, and then uh, really working hard to get that elusive 100th coin. And then this fighting started. I'm working hard, you're not working hard, or I had to do this and you did not do that. In order to get that 100th one, now all that laughter and the happiness and there, they started evaporating slowly. So that is called the trap of 99. We all have so many graces already, but then we start focusing on that one thing we don't have, or one thing that should I absolutely must have, and then our happiness takes a back seat. So that is the trap that you all fall into as well. Archana ji, you had a question, and then I'll come to you, Sandhya and Tejas as well. Yes, Archana ji.
Hi, Radhe Radhe. So my question is that we are in the process of, becoming the Karm Yogi. That's the aim. So setting goals, because we all engage ourselves in karma. So setting a goal and achieving it or not achieving it and feeling happy or sad about it, is that also worldly happiness?
Yeah, happy and sad. That is where Lord Krishna is very clearly saying that, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. He said, Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada Agama Payeno Nitya Tansti Tikshasva Bharata. Tansti Tikshasva means you need to tolerate. If you're happy, happy, right? That means that you have swayed to one particular side, right? Like a pendulum. That means when you will not get the favorable result, you will swing to the other side, you will become sad. So he said, remain equanimous or neutral, because understanding that this too is temporary, this is a fleeting thing. And when you remain neutral to those emotions, despite success or failure, then God is extremely happy. And what he gives you in return is much more valuable than that temporary happiness or high that you enjoyed in that process. Okay, that is essentially what Karam Yoga is. Make sense?
Yeah, but I'm still not able to understand that state of equanimity, how
Yes.
how that feels. Either you
Yeah,
are sad or you are happy. I
I
mean,
know that.
yeah,
So
yeah, okay.
basically, the way I would process it is, yes, either we are sad or we are happy. Very fair point. The way I would process it is, then we mindfully and consciously
Hmm.
try to bring us back to a neutral state. Okay,
Yeah.
it's you are in an overdrive gear, like we change the gears, right? Lower gear, higher gear. I know you are feeling sad, but then you reason to yourself that, you know what? I don't need to, because this feeling will pass away or things change.
Yeah.
And Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita that I need to be closer to that in between state. So yes, I'm feeling sad, I understand. But then I'm going to work toward moving towards that neutral state quickly. And
Yeah.
similarly, when you're happy, said, okay, I understand. Okay, I'm feeling great. All right, I'm feeling happy, but I will not go overboard with this thing, because this thing will also go away. Everything is temporary,
Yeah.
right? So when we practice that, it will get get us closer to that
Yeah.
equanimity principle. And then when you are in that equanimity state, what is it that you experience is only can be experienced, right?
Yeah.
Nobody that's
Right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we
Thank you.
need to mindfully work in it during these extreme emotions that we experience, during for when we experience so many things in our life, right? So many opportunities will present themselves to practice it basically. Yeah, that's the whole idea. Good question though. Yes, Tejas.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. So, you were mentioning, right? Like, if you're seeking for material growth, that can lead to you being disappointed. More than seeking material growth, I think comparing your material growth, I think that is the main issue. But
Yeah, material growth.
seeking material growth on its own is a journey, and no one can get disappointed. No scope for disappointment. Only when the comparison comes, that's when the disappointment sets in.
True, spirituality does not mean that you stop being ambitious,
Right,
right? Spirituality means you bring your A game to everything that you do. That means you keep on becoming a better version of yourself in whatever you do, right?
right.
So that, but then ambitious, there's a subtle difference between ambitious and being very attached to that outcome, that if you don't get it, you'll get disappointed. And if you get it, you'll become. So that if as long as you are able to put that in perspective, there's no harm at all, right? Why not? I mean, you want to do good things, you want to excel in life. That is a good thing. You're, you're bringing you're becoming a better person, right? In what you do. That is perfectly okay. Right? The great athletes are there, sportsmen are there. Why do they excel? Because they are striving for excellence. So striving for excellence, you don't stop doing that just because you are spiritual. It's like, okay, whatever happens, right? I will make peace with whatever is happening. So not like that. But yeah, as long as you're able to put that perspective and not get obsessed with the particular outcome, then you're violating Karam Yoga if you get obsessed with the outcome. If you're not, then yeah, sure. Do as best as you possibly can in whatever you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, the other point, I don't know if it's related to this or not, having unrealistic expectation. So having unrealistic expectation again is again you're expecting a certain outcome and you're not getting that outcome, and again there is disappointment. So
True.
maybe they're, I don't know if they're different or the same, but same
No,
side of the
unrealistic. Yeah, that comes from self-awareness, right? Now, if I wake up and say, "Hey, I saw that documentary and the latest flick on Roger Federer, and I'm so inspired by him. I want to become a tennis player." I mean, is it realistic if I say that? So we need to have, good understanding of where we are, what we want to do, and what it takes to do that. Do I have enough knowledge about that? So that comes from self-awareness, and that's where we can set realistic goals for ourselves. It doesn't hurt to set up bigger goals for ourselves, but as long as we are willing to strive towards it and we know what it takes to achieve that, right? Now, all of a sudden, at 20, I cannot decide, or at 25, I'll become a test cricketer. You know how much knowledge, how much practice, how many hours of practice is needed for, if you look at the statistic of all the people who excelled in any sport, they would have put in about 10 to 20,000 hours by the age of 18 or 20. So that doesn't lie. All of a sudden, you can't wake up and try to do that, right? So yes, self-awareness and being realistic is very, very important.
even in the spiritual path also, keeping realistic goal, even there also it makes sense, because overnight you cannot have any of these
Very true.
practices, right?
It's a
Yeah,
journey. It's a journey, and
journey.
that's where people get disappointed. Oh my God, it's not working there. Yeah, we got to
Yeah.
be realistic about it. And that is self-awareness helps everywhere. Sometimes we have all the emotions, but we are not ready for stuff as well. Right. So that is a very treacherous place to be in, where our emotions are not backing what we are truly willing to do. Right.
Hmm.
So that can also lead us a little, good questions though. Yes, Sandhya, you want to
Yeah.
ask, and then we can Google.
Um, yeah, there's a question in the chat, and before that, like I think one thing that you were mentioning was witness consciousness only, which can lead us to equanimity, right? So I just wanted to point that out. And Manisha, he had asked this. How can we deal, and what should be our response to a situation where your younger family member does not give you respect? How to be humble towards them too, because I don't want to have those avguns inside me no matter what. So is there any tool or thought I can think of immediately so that it doesn't work in negative way?
Well, that's an interesting one. See, first of all, um, what do you call that? It's always a good practice to teach people to be respectful to others. But if you want to command respect, and if the younger member is not giving you that respect, right, and something within you happens, see, as a matter of good manners, or as a matter of principle, it's good to give respect. So from that standpoint, you can coach them, see if it is within your influence, because you should not pick up a fight on that. But then on the other hand, you have to command respect. And if somebody's hell-bent on not giving it, either you cure it or you endure it. If you endure it, a bad day for ego is a good day for the soul. So you can look at it that way too. But yes, it's always a good practice to tell somebody or coach them, it's good to be respectful for others. But then if it is not happening, see whether you can cure it through coaching or through some other means. If you can't cure it, then endure it. There's no third solution around it as well. So yes, look at that is
Kumarji,
contextual as
Kumar,
well. What?
Kumarji gave a solution, which is just
What?
a funny one.
Which
He
one?
said just a tight slap.
Or give it a tight slap, see if that works, right? Sometimes when you may have to take extreme measures as well, depending upon who it is, and if you can, that is part of curing it as well. No? You have cured it. Maybe if tight slap works, that means that is part of the curing process. Provided it works, okay. In US, you cannot. They may dial 911 for that, okay, physical abuse and stuff like that. But yeah, you could try that. But yeah, a bad day for ego is a good day for soul. So I don't know if you're in that situation with that person or not, because you know how those dynamics are. But like I said, you cure it or you endure it. There's no other third way around it. And it's always good to give respect to others and seek none for yourself. It is a spiritual principle. But if somebody is young, it's always good to coach them and tell them, how to be respectful to others. It's always a good idea to do that. I tell our younger one, and he still doesn't know what he says. Said you can at least say Hanji, right? He doesn't understand that. So I'm trying to drive some of those values into him as well, because here they don't understand. Yeah, it happens like that. And then one day he was coming in the car and he was telling me, oh, something I said, and he said, dude, listen to me. I said, I have not become dude, I'm dad, okay? Okay, I'm still 5 to 6 years away from becoming a dude for you. So, anyways, Dhruval, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Radhe Radhe. Thanks. Very interesting discussion, and thank you, Archana ji and Tejas. I think it's a very practical discussion. Actually,
Yeah.
I had a follow-up question to the goal setting part. Does it also matter what kind of goal it is, like a nirgun goal or a sattvic goal or a rajasic goal or a tamasic goal?
It's a good thing that you asked, Dhruval. So, see, one is the perfect answer, right? If you ask me the perfect answer, that again, that is a nirgun goal. End of the day, we have to reach nirgun goal, but it is a journey, right? So if it is a journey, then we need to be realistic around what is it where we are struggling right now. I cannot, I mean, ideally I should be setting up a nirgun goal, but look at your situation right now. For example, if you don't like working or laziness is your biggest problem at this point, right? At least swinging into action. Some people are not doing anything about it. At least find a job, start working, swing into action. Then you have already shaken your, from a tamasic thing to a rajasic thing, propelling yourself into action. Then you can get into sattvic, do something good, meaningful at your work, bring some value, get some skills, right? And then if you're able to settle down in that, you can bring God into the mix and start practicing Karam Yoga. But doesn't matter, you have to do it in a sequence manner. You could start doing it from the word go itself. But be realistic about what you are truly doing right now. And then it's always a good idea to not, get stuck in tamas, at least be in rajas. At least dunya is in this world is primarily in rajas only, and move towards good things, sattvic things at least, right? And then if you can bring God into the mix, including with sattvic, even better. The nirgun is the final stage for us, but it's a journey in that sense. And that journey doesn't mean you have to go from tamas to rajas to sattva and then nirgun. You can go from tamas to nirgun, rajas to nirgun, sattva to nirgun. But you can calibrate it based on your situation, what you think is realistic and helps you have some kind of an incremental growth, as opposed to one miracle, you wake up one day and you are nirguna. It doesn't work like that, right? Yes, Rahul.
Radhe Radhe. And for the journey from Tamas to Nirgud, I think spiritual family camp can be a starting point. Yeah. So definitely check that out from July 4th to July 10th with Swami Ji.
Are you presuming that people who will come are in tamas? No, I'm
They
just
can be
kidding.
either of the three good, but yeah,
Yeah.
Gunas. But yeah,
You can say journey from wherever to nirguna. Yes, very true.
yeah.
Yes, Kumarji, you got.
There is a question. Yeah, there is a question also, a comment from Ajit Ji. If
Mhm.
there is no happiness in this world, then what is the lesson to plan in this life for all of us?
What is the lesson to plan if there is no happiness in this world?
Yeah.
See, the agenda or objective of human life. Now, it's getting philosophical, right? There's only one agenda. So let's say this is where you need to reach, which is, realizing God. That is our ultimate aim, right? Because until we reach here, we will not get that perfect bliss. This drama will continue. So, how much closer we have come to that, or how much delta or incremental growth we have made towards that is our true asset in every life. So let's say I have to reach 100, score of 100, and I started at, let's say, 9. And at the end of this life, I was at 10, or I was 12, or at 15, or 20, whatever it is a gain, right? If I'm at 9 and I got stuck at 9 or maybe did 8 because of a lot of choices that we made, then I have not done myself a favor. So it's like whatever spiritual progress that we make in any human life is the true gain. Everything else is immaterial at that point. And the worst thing that we can do to ourselves after being born as human is to go back in lower forms of life, right? Species, because of our um, irresponsible choices or choices made out of ignorance just because we did not know. We just continued to cater to our senses, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That's all we did throughout our lives. Then we go back to the animal kingdom or lower forms of life, because that is essentially what animals do. Humans are endowed with intellect so that they can discern, discriminate, and make decisions. And those decisions have to be channelized in a manner that it is fruitful and helpful for our spiritual journey. right? That is the only wealth we carry. So anything that you have acquired with regards to spiritual asset, which could be as simple as learning to work hard, learning to forgive, letting go things, reducing your anger, reducing your excessive obsession about material or sensual desires, anything that you have gained in that will continue with become your perpetual asset. And anything other than that, you might have been a billionaire or trillionaire or whatever, all that stays behind. Nothing goes with us. So as humans, end of the day, whatever progress we have made towards our goal is the real asset. Rest all is immaterial, is essentially the message. And that is, if you have started this much love for God and you've increased it more, that's the best asset one can have. They say, right? Prem Dhan, or the true wealth is the love for God. So if we focus on that, then I think we can never go wrong. Yes, Kumarji.
Jai Shri Ram, Jai Hanuman.
Good to see you after a while.
Yep, absolutely. For the person who asked if, what to do if their younger one was misbehaving or being bad towards them. Again, if it's a sibling, again, it's a different matter. Because luckily, as a sibling, neither did I create so much trouble for my brothers, probably a little for my sister, though. But anyway, so when you have kids, you will know, you will face this a lot, right? And the more they grow, especially in the US, I don't know, probably in India too these days, like they say, father is son's first hero, right? Then after some time, he becomes a zero. Still later in life, they realize, yeah, how good their dad was.
Mhm.
But I think how I looked at it was when I faced this issue, I initially it was tough for me, right? They are my kids and they are treating me this badly. And sometimes it's our mind saying all these things, right? But sometimes it might be true too. But in that case, what I saw was we are individual souls. We have to realize that. And we have some scars. We will act as per some scars. So do we not discipline them? We can discipline them when they are of young age, but once they become like teenagers, you have to
Yep.
treat them more carefully. And what I found is either I told them in a very nice voice. I didn't immediately, initially I used to react. Then I said, you know what, I'm going to wait. I'm going to think of it. Did they say something wrong or not? And then sometimes I would advise them, but let's say if they were not, then I would just stay quiet, because at the end of the day, I was calm. My peace of mind was safe. So that's how I look at it. So, and
Yep.
especially because we are all in this
Yes.
path of spirituality, we always should think, who is our true relative? Really, only God. Till we realize that, we'll always be caught in this uh, uh, web of deceit, or whatever we call it, Maya, right?
Yes,
Thank you.
Kumarji. Got it.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Thank you. Yeah. See, one of the things that helps around that matter is, are you doing it with a sense of control, or are you doing it when you are yourself not in control? Because that will not make too much of an impact, especially when we are talking to somebody or kids, right? When we are doing it from complete, sense of peace, and then it will have a different impact altogether. And I have experimented it with our little one as in journal as well. When I'm at peace, that point comes across more impactfully. But when you are not in peace, you are just reacting and there's a lot of turbulence going on inside you, then it does not have the desired impact. So this is how it works as well. You could try that and let me know, how whether it works or not. Yes, Pratusha. Anyways, good discussion on a lot of different stuff today. Go ahead, Pratusha.
Radhe Radhe everyone, Radhe Radhe sir. So actually I was thinking when you were talking about the developing good qualities, and when Kumarji was also saying about that, so I was thinking the real spiritual progress is developing love for God, because if we have suppose we have developed some good qualities also, there is a good chance that we must, because of our karmic backlog, we might be put into certain situations where it can flare up. But if we have the love for God, and if we keep increasing it, incrementally, I think that is where the real progress in spirituality comes. So this is my 2 cents, sir. You can talk more about it.
Hmm. There's a bhajan, right, which says वह जीवन क्या जीवन जिसमें जीवन धन से प्यार नहीं. So that life, where you don't have love for the Jivan Dhan, the one who's the basis of your life, what's the point of that life? So, developing love for God is the real asset. And if we were to summarize, one key thing that we can focus on, it's how much additional love I have developed for God in this particular lifetime, and that's I think the real asset. Yes, Rahul.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. There are two comments in the chat. One from Archana ji. Having your kids read Bhagavad Gita really helps. I saw tremendous changes in my son after he started reading Swamiji's Bhagavad Gita.
True, this knowledge
And
is very powerful, and kids they pick up. They are impressionable minds, and I'm surprised sometimes. Some of the concepts that I tell our little one, he'll come back and he just thinks about it, and before going to sleep, and then I'm worried that if he starts over analyzing at this point, it'll not be good for him. Then I told him, see, my mind said that, but why my mind is selfish, and then my mind is, and I said, okay, hold on. It's okay. Now my mind is thinking or my intellect is thinking. Tell me that it's okay. You just take it easy. So, but kids, they pick up concepts very quickly and they do it honestly. They try to implement it honestly as well. The other day he was telling us, that he still likes to sleep with me and he would knock me, a few times with his leg. And the other day he was saying, sorry if I disturb your sleep. I said, it's okay. I have taken that liberty with my mom and dad as well. So that's perfectly okay. He said, but that means I'm selfish. And he's feeling bad about it. I said, no, you don't have to worry about it. It's perfectly okay. You have earned this selfishness. So that's okay. So kids take it very seriously, some of these concepts, which is kind of, anyways, yes, go ahead.
and another comment from Ganpriya ji is insult from children or close relatives is a blessing in disguise as it helps you release bondage and progress in spirituality.
True. Yeah, your son will tell you who's the father, okay, in a little while. So that's how it goes.
And for all those Bal Mukunds, we have the online summer camp also from July 8th, and that is a 2 week camp, and then from July 22nd also. So those details are in the chat. Do check it
Thank
out.
you. Rahul. Thank you. Please fill out the feedback tracker. I think let's post it out once more, if not already. And then Keshav ji, I hope you're not talking and driving because that's banned, right? No, you parked it already. Please go ahead. And then we move to our devotional segment.
Hello, sorry, what did you say? Nitin, I didn't hear.
You were driving, right? So I thought you were driving or you parked it already.
Parking lot.
Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
I'm relaxing, no worries.
No worries.
Okay, thanks for your concern. I have two things to say. Number one, maybe
Did we lose Keshav ji? Keshav ji, we lost you. I think we lost Keshav ji. So your internet is shaky. Is okay.
okay. Changing the internet. Yeah, you're right.
So Keshav ji, you've got a choppy internet here. So let's do our chanting in the meantime.
Should I go get started?
Yes, let's take the hands. Yes.
देश काल नहीं नियम कछु नहीं कछु शिष्टाचार राधे राधे सरल हृदय नहीं छल कपट प्रेम पंथ बलिहार राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे. The path of devotion is free from all conditions of time, place, rituals, etiquettes, etc. All that is required is to love Sri Krishna selflessly with a pure heart.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya, for that. And see, this thing is not just limited to Sanatan Dharam. If you look at it, even Bible says that love God with all thy heart and all thy might, right? So the rules and everything takes a back seat. That makes it very simple, right? Okay, let's take a couple of, in fact, what is that? Ramayana also says, right? Nirmal man jan so mohi pava. In Ramayana, Lord Ram is saying that Nirmal man, the one which has clean heart, is the one who ends up getting me as well. Okay, let's take a couple of more hands and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe
Radhe
Riya ji.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. देश काल नहीं नियम कछु नहीं कछु शिष्टाचार राधे राधे सरल हृदय नहीं छल कपट प्रेम पंत बलिहार राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे
Very
राधे
nice,
राधे
Ji. Radhe Radhe. Dinesh ji, go ahead, please. And then Swati ji, and we wrap up.
देश काल नहीं नियम कछु नहीं कछु शिष्टाचार राधे राधे सरल हृदय नहीं छल कपट प्रेम पंथ बलिहार राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे राधे राधे
Very nice, Dinesh ji. So Chaupai in Ramayana says that Nirmal man jan so mohi pava mohi kapat chal chidra na bhava. So simplicity is the key. Anyways, last one, Swati ji, please go ahead. And then we wrap up our
Yeah, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
देश काल नहीं नियम कछु नहीं कछु शिष्टाचार राधे राधे सरल हृदय नहीं छल कपट प्रेम पंथ बलिहार राधे राधे थैंक यू राधे राधे
Thank you so much, Swati ji. So thank you, everyone, for your enthusiastic participation like always. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We do have our spiritual cash-up segment as well tomorrow, and we'll continue on our journey of Bhagavad Gita. So thank you again. Radhe Radhe. Good night. Good day from my side. Thank you.